Yes, so we'll begin with our class. Now, I thought I'll begin with one question. Okay, I want you all to answer this. You can see this, correct, no? Everyone can see the image. I have put one image here. Now, the question is, you have to answer this question. Which sample has the lowest vapor pressure? Okay, which sample will have the lowest vapor pressure? You need to answer. So, I have put the question. I thought I will do like a polling. Can't see? Are you not able to see this? No, are you able to see this picture? Because I just checked it out. I can see it's visible. Some of you may be having network issues. Then you please log out and log in once again. Visible, no? Huh. Okay. Don't answer now. Don't give the answer there. I will display the question to you. Personally, you can give the answer. Everyone can answer now. You can think properly, take your time and then answer. Okay. Yes. Is it coming in your screen, this question? You're able to see on your screen, no? Yeah. Now think properly and then answer. This is based on the concept which we did yesterday, based on relative lowering of vapor pressure. Okay, let's see now. What is your correct answer? How is that possible? I have displayed. No, everyone should get it together. Yes, so now you got the answer, right? Majority of you have answered. Okay, that's okay. Now we will answer here. Okay. Some have not got, then it's okay. What is the correct answer here? A, B, C. Yeah, C is the correct one. No, C is the correct one. Why C is the correct one? Question is which sample has the lowest vapor pressure? Okay. So, yeah, lowest vapor pressure depends on the concentration of the solute. So, you can see here in the A and B, the solute particles are very less. Okay. So, if the solute particles are less, now B has very less solute particle. That means more number of vapors will come. Okay, more number of vapors will be there. But now if you talk about A compared to B, they have more concentration of the solute. So this will be having less, okay? And the lowest one will be for the last one, because you can see many solute particles are present. So many solute particles will block the way, no? You can see they are blocking the way. So the solvent will not be able to come up that easily, okay? So vapor pressure will be very less. Yes, very good. Okay, so sample C, because they have higher concentration of the solute, and then due to which there is lowering of vapor pressure, and the lowest vapor pressure will be for the C. Okay, so you can write down this question as well as the answer. Yes, finish writing. Shall I go for next? So remember, in the exam, no, picture won't be given, but they will give you concentration. So with that, you may have to find which has a less number of vapors being formed. Okay, next. I'll go for next now. Next is again a question. You can see two pictures here. Okay, so the question is, among the pure water, you can see on this side you have pure water, this side. Okay, this is pure water. This is pure water. And the other side you can see sea water. Okay, here you are having sea water. This is sea water. So your question is, which has highest vapor pressure? Whether it is sea water or whether it is pure water. I want everyone to reply. Reply quickly. Among pure water and sea water, which has highest vapor pressure? Highest vapor pressure. Means highest. See, if the vapor pressure has to be highest, that means the vapor should be able to come easily. They should be able to be formed easily. So where the vapors can be formed easily, where there is no barrier. Pure water, yes, correct. Majority, yeah, pure water is the correct answer. Okay, so pure water is the correct answer. Why pure water? Because there is no solute particles. If you add, now in the sea water there are salts, no? There are so many salts. That means there are so many solute particles. So if you have solute particles, then it will stop them, no, to come into the vapor phase. Yeah, there are more salts, correct. Okay, more concentration is there. And just now you answered me, if you have higher concentration, that will have less vapor pressure, no? So highest vapor pressure, so you can just write down, okay, pure water has highest vapor pressure because less concentration of the solute. Okay, there is no concentration of the solute. Okay, write down. The answer is pure water. Okay. Answer is pure water. Because concentration of solute is zero here. There is no concentration of solute. Yeah. Yeah, there are fishes in the seawater also. Yeah. They will also block the way, right? Okay. So these you can expect, okay, in your exam. For give reason type of questions, they can ask you, or even in the 1 mark part, they can ask you these type where you have to think and then answer. Yeah, now one more question I have placed here. Which one of the following has lowest vapor pressure? Okay. So your options are this. lowest vapor pressure. Pure water, okay, this is A, pure water. B, you are having 1 molar urea. And then C, 1 molar NaCl. C, I have 1 molar NaCl, and D, I have 1 molar barium chloride. For this, you have to think little bit what actually happens when you dissolve these compounds in the water. We are talking about 1 molar solution, okay? It's a solution. So you have to tell now which among this will have lowest vapor pressure. Lowest vapor pressure means the number of solute particles are very high, okay? So I will give you one clue, then you can think and answer, okay? Suppose if you have a salt, if you have any salt, you know salt is made up of ions. Agree with that? Salts are made up of ions, okay? There is positive ion. I'm giving you just a hint, okay? I want the answer from your side. So there are positive ions and then there are negative ions. Suppose if I have added now, okay, one salt, they will have one positive ion and one negative ion, okay? So if one salt is taken, that will dissociate to give you two ions, no? So then see the number of solute particles will increase if they dissociate. Initially it was 1 when they were in the solid state. When you put them into the water, they dissociate into 2. Okay, you can see here 2 ions will be formed. So then the blockage will become more, okay, because now we know no colligative property depends on the number. We are not considering the nature. Now here number has increased. So if the number increases, it will decrease the vapor pressure. Okay, so now think in that way and answer. I gave you one hint. So you should see where the number of ions produced is larger. Where the number of ions produced is larger. More the number of ions, less will be the vapor pressure. I'm getting different answer. Yeah. You are giving me, yes, very good. But I'll go with majority. Always majority wins. No, see, majority is telling me D. Yes, very good. D is the correct answer, okay? Now we'll discuss why pure water anyways doesn't come in the concept because pure water has highest vapor pressure, you have seen. Okay, now 1 molar urea. See, urea is an organic compound. Urea doesn't dissociate into ions. It's having a covalent bond. You know, covalent bond compound doesn't break down. Correct, no? Remaining is which one? NaCl and barium chloride. These are the salts which can dissociate. NaCl will dissociate to give you Na plus ion and Cl minus ion. So, 1 NaCl has broken down to 2. So, that means the number of particle has increased. Yeah, it will lower the vapor pressure. But we will see the next option also. Barium chloride. 1 barium chloride will dissociate to give you Ba2 plus ion. And how many chloride ions will be formed? 2 chloride ions, correct? So, how many are the number of ions? 3. 3 ions I am having. See, 1 has dissociated to give you 3. So, 3 will form more blockage, no, than compared to 2. Got the point now? So, here 3 is a larger number and they will give more like blocks. Okay, so less surface area will be available. So, obviously that the lowest vapor pressure is possible for the last one. Okay, barium chloride. Got the point why barium chloride is the answer? So when a salt is given, you should be very careful, okay? You have to break them, find out how many ions are produced, which gives you more number of ions. They will block more, okay? Less surface area will be available then the vapor pressure will become very less, okay? So this is the correct one. So you can tick, your answer should be D, barium chloride, because more number of ions are produced. Okay, so more is the concentration of the solute here. Which decreases the vapor pressure. Excellent. Okay, good. Yes. Now we'll go for the next concept. So here we are done with relative lowering of vapor pressure. We have worked out problem also. Okay. So today I'm going to start with the second colligative property, that is elevation of boiling point. Okay. So before learning for elevation of boiling point, you will have to understand what is boiling point and how a liquid starts boiling. All those concepts should be clear. Once that concept is clear, then you will understand what is elevation and boiling point. Okay, so we'll start with the boiling point first. Now, when you say a liquid starts boiling, okay, now we are talking in terms of vapor pressure. So when a liquid will exactly start boiling, it's not that only the liquid getting converted to a gaseous and that temperature we call as a boiling point. Yeah, that is correct. But when that liquid gets converted to vapor, what are the factors which affect for them to getting converted? Okay, so that is the important point now. So now here I have taken a liquid. Okay, now see, when you have a liquid, outside your atmosphere is there. No, you know, in the outside atmosphere there are gases present. Yes, outside atmosphere has gases which are present. So these gases which are present in the outside atmosphere, no, they exert a pressure. Okay, so they exert certain pressure, and that pressure is what we call as atmospheric pressure. You can see here I have written atmospheric pressure. Okay, so now when there is atmospheric pressure, and if you have a liquid which is coming out in the form of vapors, they will be experiencing this pressure. Okay, when the liquid vaporizes, no, when they are trying to come here first, okay, they will be experiencing this pressure. So now this pressure is going to be very high. Okay, atmospheric pressure is going to be very high. So if they want to come out in the form of a liquid, they have to become at least equal to this atmospheric pressure, or the vapor pressure should become more than the atmospheric pressure. Only then they will be able to come out in the form of vapors. Okay, then the boiling happens. Okay, understand? I'll repeat once again. When you have a liquid, okay, when the liquid vaporizes, okay, they experience, now these vapors which are there before they are coming into the empty space, they experience a pressure. Okay, that pressure is from the atmosphere. So atmosphere will exert certain pressure because there are gases. No, you have so many amount of gases. You have 70, around 70 8% of nitrogen is there, then you have 21% of oxygen, and then remaining traces of gases are there. All of these will exert a pressure. Okay, so if your liquid has to come out in the vapors, they have to cross this pressure. Okay, either this vapor pressure should become equal to the atmospheric pressure, or your vapor pressure should cross the atmospheric pressure, means your vapor pressure should be higher than the atmospheric pressure. Only then the boiling takes place. Okay, so that temperature where the vapor pressure, okay, your vapor pressure becomes equal to the atmospheric pressure, that temperature is called as boiling point. Okay, this temperature is called as boiling point. Okay, so this is regarding the boiling point which you need to know. I believe it's clear to everyone. You can make a note of this first. Okay, so what I said, boiling point is when you have a liquid, if they have to come out in the form of a vapors, okay, so they will have a vapor pressure. That vapor pressure should become either equal to your atmospheric pressure, or it should become greater than the, like, first beginning is they should make it equal. No, once they make it equal, then after that if they become greater also, they will start boiling. Okay, so first beginning point is this: when they become equal to the atmospheric pressure, only then they start boiling. Okay, so it totally depends on your atmosphere. So now if I take, see, now if you go to a different places, you will see that water boils at different temperature. Everyone knows, no, what is the temperature at which water boils. Everyone knows that the water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. But this is not same in all the cases. Okay. So when it is 100 degrees Celsius at normal sea level, so when you are here, okay, on the earth's surface, yeah, that time it is 100 degrees Celsius. Okay, because you have one atmosphere pressure. You have 1 atm pressure. So at 1 atm pressure, lot of gases are exerting a pressure. So they have to like take so much amount of temperature. Okay, around 100 degrees Celsius temperature they have to take to come out in the form of vapors and then push that atmospheric pressure. Okay, only then they will start boiling. So 100 degrees Celsius when they are at normal sea level. But if you go to different places, I've just mentioned, okay, it's not important for you to know the temperature and all that thing. It's just for you to get the clarity of this idea of boiling point. Okay, so if you go to Mount Everest, okay, over there, you know, as you go at the higher level, the atmospheric gases decreases. You have learned even there when I was explaining the application of Henry's law. I told you as you go to the higher altitude, the pressure of the gases decreases, correct? No? So now here the number of gases, molecules which are present is very less. So pressure exerted also will be very less. So see over there, the water will start boiling around 69, means almost 70 degrees Celsius. No, it's not based on the temperature. Yeah, I agree there. Temperature is very low. But then the boiling point is totally depend on the pressure which is exerted. Okay, so it depends on the pressure. It's not based on this temperature has come because of the pressure. Okay, not because of anything else. So there the number of gases are very less. When the gases are less, so if you go now here, if you're talking about the cold places, okay, now in the atmospheric level also, if you like in the same atmospheric level itself, if you go to cold place, then I agree, then the temperature required will be higher. But whenever the pressure, when the pressure changes, then okay, boiling point will change. Clear? So here now the pressure has decreased. Okay, so pressure has decreased. So this much amount of temperature, 100 degrees Celsius is not required. 70 degrees Celsius is enough for you to boil the water. Okay, so now here see Kilimanjaro. So there also you can see, but there the number of gases are more than compared to Mount Everest. So the pressure is around 80.33 degrees Celsius. And then see, this is Dead Sea. Dead Sea is where the number of salt concentration is very high. So when you know where the salt concentration is very high, so there the temperature required to boil the water is also higher. Okay, so these are the temperature which I have written now here. So don't confuse yourself that always water should boil at 100 degrees Celsius. It is totally depend on the pressure, okay, atmospheric pressure. So if you don't have a pressure, immediately if you keep it outside, instantly it will start boiling. Like they say, if you take your water to the moon, okay, so in on the moon you don't have any pressure, okay, the number of gases present over there is very less, so instantly the water will start evaporating and boiling. Okay, so there you see water starts immediately boiling because there is no pressure. So it is totally on the pressure. So when you are pressure, atmospheric pressure becomes equal to vapor pressure, they start boiling. Yes, now we'll go for this concept, elevation and boiling point. Okay, so initially you have a pure liquid. Okay, pure liquid is experiencing, now vapor pressure is there and then atmospheric pressure is there. When they become equal, we say the water will start boiling. Okay, now when you are adding a solute to this, now when I add a solute to this, you know what happens to the vapor pressure, correct? No? What will happen to the vapor pressure when you add the solute to this? Yes, it will decrease, correct? No? Everyone agree with this? When you add the solute, the vapor pressure will start decreasing. Okay, so if vapor pressure decreases, that means if you want that vapor pressure to become equal to the atmospheric pressure, you have to increase the temperature. Okay, correct? No, I have to increase the temperature. See, initially I had a solvent. And then they will have certain vapor pressure. When their vapor pressure becomes equal to atmospheric pressure, that liquid will start boiling. Okay, now when you add a solute to this, the vapor pressure will decrease. Okay, very good. Many have answered that. So vapor pressure decreases. So when the vapor pressure decreases, if you want that vapor to become equal to the atmospheric pressure, then you have to give the heat. Okay, you have to increase the temperature. So that increase, extra increase in temperature, what you have given, no, that itself is elevation in boiling point. Okay, got the point? Extra, whatever heat I have supplied to make that vapor pressure equal to the atmospheric pressure. So if you want to make that equal, you have to boil a little bit, no, because they are blocking the way. So if you want more number of vapors to go out, you have to increase that temperature. So that extra temperature heat which I have given, that is elevation and boiling point. So it depends on how much moles of the solute you have added. See, if your number of solutes are more, then the temperature required also will increase. Okay, so let's understand that with the help of a graph now here. Okay, so you know that lower vapor pressure, all that I have told. Yes, now let us understand this with the help of a graph. So here I have the pure solvent where the vapor pressure is very high, and here I have it for the solution where the vapor pressure is less. Okay, so you have to make this vapor pressure equal to the atmospheric pressure. So you have to increase the temperature. So now I have plotted the graph. You can see, you will understand this better, okay, with the help of a graph. So one side I have vapor pressure. I have taken on the y-axis vapor pressure. This side I am having the temperature. So you know always the solvent will give you more vapor pressure. Yes, solvent will have more vapor pressure. So solvent graph I will take like this, in this way. See, initially when the temperature was low, your vapor pressure of the solvent is also less. But as you are increasing the temperature, then the vapor pressure is also increasing. Okay, so one point will come where your vapor pressure, okay, now if your atmospheric pressure is 1 atm, they will reach that 1 atm, and once they reach that 1 atm, then this liquid, you will see that they have started boiling. Okay, so this is about the solvent. Just now I explained. Okay, the graph is going in the upward direction because as you increase the temperature, the vapor pressure also increases. Okay, now come to this solution. This is for the solvent. Now if you talk about the solution, you can see here clearly vapor pressure is decreasing. So if the vapor pressure is decreasing, obviously when I have to draw the graph for the solution, it will be less no than the solvent, so it will come downwards. So when I am drawing the graph, you can see clearly the graph is downward because for the solution the vapor pressure is less. So as you are plotting, you can see here vapor pressure of the solution has come down then compared to the solvent. Again over here same thing is happening. Initially that solution has a lower vapor pressure at lower temperature. As you are increasing the temperature, the vapor pressure also increases. Okay, now let's talk about the solvent first. So I said there is one pressure, atmospheric pressure, when the vapor pressure of this solvent becomes equal to the atmospheric pressure, then they will start boiling. It's like you have that finishing line, no? Atmospheric pressure is a finishing line. Okay, so if they reach there equal to that line, or if they become greater to that, then the liquid starts boiling. Okay, so I have drawn this line here. Okay, this is the line which they have to cross. So initially temperature is low. When you are increasing, okay, when they come to at this point, then the liquid starts boiling. So if it is higher than this, you will see that the liquid is continuously boiling only. Okay, so this is the point. So this point I can say, okay, this point I have dropped it down. You will get the temperature at which they are boiling over here. Okay, so that will be the boiling point of the solvent. Okay, that I am going to denote as TB naught. Not because for pure, there also pressure, you remember vapor pressure for the pure one we have represented as naught. So here TB naught is for the boiling point of the pure solvent. Okay, this is for pure solvent. So at this temperature, okay, and the pressure, when the vapor pressure becomes equal to atmospheric pressure, they have crossed the line and then they started boiling. Okay, now if you talk about at the same temperature for the solution, see, solution has reached here and it has a long way to go. See, it has to reach till here, only then the liquid will start boiling. So for that, what I should do, it has reached only till here at this particular temperature. Okay, now the liquid will not start boiling. So what I should do, I should increase the temperature, no, because vapor pressure over here is very less. So if you increase the temperature, then slowly the vapor pressure will increase, then it will start, okay, crossing this line. Okay, once they cross that line, then the liquid will start boiling, the solution will start boiling. Okay, so that extra temperature which I gave here, okay, so extra temperature which I have given here, that itself is elevation and boiling point. So this point I am taking as boiling point of the solution. Okay, when the solution's vapor pressure became equal to the atmospheric pressure, so dropping that down, you will get the temperature at which the solution has boiled. So that I am taking as TB. Okay, this is for the solution one. So now if you take the difference between both of them, that will be delta TB. That delta TB will give you what is the extra temperature you have supplied. Okay, that itself is elevation. Difference, okay, the difference in the boiling point of the solution and the boiling point of the solvent is termed as elevation. Getting my point, no, everyone? So delta TB I can write as TB minus TB naught. TB minus TB naught. This itself is elevation and boiling point. I believe everyone understood whatever I have explained. Okay, this happens in your daily life also. Whether if you have gone to the kitchen, you will see. Suppose if you're boiling water, okay, water will boil at 100 degrees Celsius. To that you add salt and see. Don't you find immediately that water boiling decreases? Have you not noticed that? If you have pure water with you, you are adding the salt or anything you are adding, any solute you are adding, okay, which is non-volatile, you are adding to that. If you have observed properly, for some time it decreases, even when you are preparing tea, okay, if you are boiling water, Maggi also, yes, yeah, anything is fine, any solute, okay, which doesn't go up. Yeah, if you take this water and if you are adding any solute, now Maggi or you are adding salt, anything is fine, okay, concept should be clear, that's it. So when I'm adding this, you will see that the vapor pressure decreases there, okay, that itself is your concept here now. So then you have to increase again, if you have to keep them for still more time, no, so then slowly once they reach that, when the vapor pressure still becomes equal to the atmospheric pressure, then that solution will start boiling, okay. So that extra temperature what we gave from here to here, okay, when you added that solute particle, that was your elevation and boiling point, delta TB, okay. And that delta TB is totally dependent on how many solute particles you have added, okay. Clear? So that mathematically also we will go and represent that. So I can represent this. Okay, delta TB is directly proportional to molality. We are taking molality, okay, not molarity. We are taking molal concentration because you know molality doesn't change with temperature. Molarity is a volume concept. And you have seen when I mix two liquids you are taking in terms of volume. You know that volume doesn't remain same, no, ideal and non-ideal solution you have seen. Volume changes, either it increases or it decreases, okay. So there is a lot of fluctuation happening in molarity, okay. It's difficult to handle. So for scientists, no, it is easy to handle molarity than compared to molarity. So we take in terms of molar concentration, okay, because this doesn't change with the temperature. That's the reason every time you will see that we deal with molality. So delta TB, that change, elevation, is totally depend on how many molar solute you have added to that particular solvent. Okay, so here delta TB I have written directly proportional to this. Now remove this proportionality sign. We have removed this proportionality sign by putting one constant, and that is Kb. Okay, this is the elevation constant. Kb is your elevation constant. You know what is molality, no? I can open this whole equation and write. You know what is molality? Molality is number of moles of solute. Okay, I'll write here. It is number of moles of solute in mass of solvent in kg. Okay, so that I can write it like this. I'm just opening that formula and writing. Okay, that's it. So W2 by M2, number of moles of solute. Okay, W2, solute is 2, no? So W2 by M2 divided by mass of solvent in kg. We have just substituted that 1000. So W1 by 1000. Okay, and then you can just rearrange them, open and write. You will get molality in this way. W2 into 1000, W2 into 1000 divided by W1 into M2. So that I have just substituted again here. Okay. So where delta TB is equal to Kb, okay, Kb is here, and then this M I have substituted, this M value is here, okay, this one. This we have substituted here, so you will get the final equation for delta TB.